You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, it's Friday's Finest. Welcome back. Can you believe this week? My goodness. Devin Archer goes to Congress. Devin Archer tells the world that Joe Biden has been lying. Wow, shocker. We didn't know that was coming. But actually it seems to be made worse that it is now, connecting the dots and the money to the Ukrainian situation. And for somebody who dealt with that during the first Trump impeachment, when we were actually telling people that there was something wrong with the business relationships with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and the prosecutors in Ukraine, there is some feeling of redemption here, but it's like, again, it's like sitting in a dark room by yourself. Nobody, seems to notice because we've been saying this for so long, and you still have the mainstream media not wanting to do it. But of course, Jack Smith to the rescue. As soon as the Devin Archer stuff hit on earlier this week, right after that, they dropped the next round of indictments on Donald Trump. He was arraigned yesterday in federal court. Again, I don't look for any change in his poll numbers. I don't look for any change in anything going on. People have sort of baked this into the reality that the DOJ is out to get him. And when you look at these indictments, you're getting very, very close to, what Jack Smith is saying, having to figure out what the intent of Donald Trump was. You have to be intentionally, willfully committing this fraud against the government. And look, to this day, Donald Trump will tell you he won the election and there was fraud that did it. I don't care what anybody else tells you. And again, you can't force people to believe things. There are people who still believe that we never went to the moon. Okay, I can't help them there. But again, we also have, a lot going on. But this is, again, came out right after the Hunter Biden stuff, it looks more and more coordinated. There's just not this many coincidences, because over the last month and a half, every time something with Hunter Biden comes out, guess what actually happens after that? Donald Trump gets indicted. And I think he made a social media post even about it recently that, something happens to Hunter Biden, he's going to get indicted. So, again, lots going on this week. We'll have plenty of time to go over that in the shows in our week ahead. But I want to thank also, if you hadn't gone back and listened, Mike Waddell, the official bone collector. We've had a great episode on Monday this week with hunting, getting ready for the fall season, getting ready for just time with family. Something you really want to go ahead, especially conservationists, you really want to go check out that podcast. Also, Tom Homans is always great when he sits down with us and talks about the true state of immigration in this country. But all of that is the real news. All of that is the news that you're hearing right now. You're hearing enough of it. But on Fridays, it's time for you just to kick back, laugh, have a good time, tell us, and just sit back and see the craziness that is this world, because it's with James and I as we talk and we go through the world as it really is. We'll be back right after the break. Hey, everybody, you know about Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy Precious Metals, you hear from them. We talk once a month. We talk about Legacy Precious Metals, talking about precious metals being part of your portfolio, how they're your navigator. Well, now they're not only navigating in a new way, they're actually giving you a new way to buy gold and silver. In fact, Legacy Precious Metals has developed a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in real gold and silver online. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped to your door. I'm more of a ship to my door kind of person. I enjoy having them with me, but they can do it either way, and you can now do it online. It gives you real access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar. This puts you in complete control of your money. This platform is free to sign up for. Just visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and is against a volatile stock market. A true diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but a different asset class. This platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Remember, do as I have done. Go to legacypminvestments.com and get started today. And now you've got a new tool to help you along in your investments. Hey everybody, it's MyPillow's 20th year anniversary, and over 80 million MyPillows have been sold. Mike Lindell and MyPillow wants to thank each of you and every one of you for giving you the lowest price in history on their MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for $19.98. Regular price is $69.98, and just $10 more for a king size. You will receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products, such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, and so much more. This is a time to try out something other than the amazing products that you've had your eye on. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio podcast square, and use the promo Collins, Collins, to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98, or call 800-986-3994. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. You know how I know that? Because I sleep on a MyPillow every night. Go to mypillow.com and use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 800-986-3994 today. All right, James, we're back. It's Friday's Finest in a crazy week, as I talked about in the intro, of everything going on. And I have to say, you know, as I always say, James is our Texan by way of New Jersey, but I have to say I spent some time this week in your old stomping grounds of New York.
And did you feel welcome and at home?
And I'm back home.
Real quick, huh?
Yeah, Sunday to Wednesday was fine for me, brother.
My brother actually just went home for a couple weeks, and he did his girlfriend's never been to New York, so he took her, and they're doing everything today. They're doing everything this week. They're doing the museums. I think they're doing the Bronx Zoo today. Like, it's a whole thing. He's doing the whole thing.
Watch out at the Bronx Zoo. You got the terroristic peacocks out there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What? Did we? Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
We have alerted look, the Doug Collins podcast is cutting edge. We're alerting you to definitely the problems in the zoos across this country. I mean, hey, we let you know when there's, issues going on.
If we did an accounting of how much time we've spent talking about zoos on Friday's Finest, we would probably be one of the top non-zoo podcasts to talk about zoos. I would have to assume.
I mean, yeah, we'd be like the Kelsey brothers of podcasts for zoos,
That's right.
That's
right. So I'm glad. I think you were on. Were you on Fox, the morning show?
I was. I did Outnumbered.
Right. You were outside for one of them, and I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't know they were still doing that stuff.
But yeah, Fox and Friends. We did.
Yeah,
what was really good? That was on Wednesday. Fox and Friends outside. I've now basically completed most everything at Fox, and I was outside on the deck, whatever they call it, the outside on the sidewalks, basically. But it was pretty good. But I have to say, I'm back here in Georgia, and humidity is August humidity here in Georgia, even when it's raining, but it was just idyllic. Weather in New York on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I mean, we was in the low mid 70s. Humidity was non-existent. I walked around it, and I mean, it was really good. But all there is we come back to this, but it all leads us into last night we're actually, because of some time constraints, we're taping this before it actually happens. Football is back. Football came back last night. It's, granted, we're not going to say it was like the best, program game in the world for the Hall of Fame game, but guess what, boys and girls? Football is back.
It's like Christmas every day from now until Christmas. There really is nothing better knowing that football's right. Football's right around the corner when you have to get your fantasy teams ready, when your football team's getting ready for training camp, when people are complaining about their contracts. Then you get the preseason. Like, it creeps up on you, and then all of a sudden it's here. And then next thing you know, 16 weeks have gone by and your head explodes.
Oh, it's amazing. Okay, well, let's touch a little bit here. It's the Jets and the Browns tonight. Don't worry, though. You will not see Deshaun Watson, and I don't think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers.
Ain't no way you're seeing Aaron Rodgers.
No. So, we're looking at that. But, some interesting stories there. And the storylines, out, we were one of the first to break the stories on the running back situation in the NFL from, not being, one of the big ESPN, Fox Sports or whatever.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it with Coach Chan Gailey. And that's just not gotten better. And Taylor in Indiana has become sort of the poster child for this happening. He now wants traded. Irsay said he's not trading him, and and Irsay just don't care. I mean, Jane, I don't know if you saw this the other day. Irsay basically said, look, after he and I are long gone, nobody will really know this ever happened.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he goes, when I die and he's gone, nobody will care.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm the player there, I'm like, wow, this negotiation is going nowhere. I think at this point, I believe Taylor's agent is, just from what I've been reading here, probably did a big miscalculation on this one.
See, well, you think it was him, or do you think Taylor was the one? Like, I mean, I guess they always consult with their agents, but I don't.
Well, sure, yeah.
Maybe he was like, I need to get out of here, and he's like, you can do whatever you want. Because
I've been reading some stuff, and they're sort of blaming the agent a little bit. But coming to practice and saying that you had some injuries that were, and here's what I mean, you really don't take, if Irsay's really wanting to play hardball here, they put him on the non-football related injury. He didn't get paid.
Right, and he was like, none of that's happened. Those are lies. He would probably listen. Yeah. Jim Irsay's never seemed like a good person to me, ever. And I don't want to call it karma because that's a horrible. I believe in karma a little bit, but you remember when he had to let go of Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
And he made the choice to let go of Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning went on to have elite seasons with the Broncos. But the Colts had to make the hard decision of letting a guy go who took them to a Super Bowl and changed their franchise forever, and not just waiting out one season and seeing if he'll come back. Sending that guy off, getting Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck retires early and the Colts are nothing. Now, I'm not saying that that's karma, but if there was karma, that would have been it.
Look, I mean, yeah, you had Andrew Luck in this as well. I mean,
listen, people hate Jim.
Andrew just quit.
Yeah, Jim Irsay just, ever since he let go of Peyton Manning, has just had the worst luck. DUIs, pill popping. I mean, he was doing that before he had Peyton Manning, but he got caught for it after. And he just, again, this is just an example of like our owners just doing and saying whatever they want. And they'll always be able to get away with it for the most part. But yeah, he basically was just like, Jonathan Taylor, I dare you to sit out. I don't care. Nothing you say will make me do what you want me to do. And every running back is going to have to come to the realization that most owners feel the same way. They just do. I mean, Yes, the Atlanta Falcons sprung for a great running back early. However, they're still not going to pay him a ton of money, so it doesn't matter. He's probably going to be very good for 2 or 3 years. The Atlanta Falcons will be better, and then they'll just let him go.
Yep. Oh, it's going to be a change, but looking at this whole structure around the league, I mean, you're looking at this going on. You're looking at the stories behind the scenes, and I think you brought it up before. I mean, look at the names that are still out there on the free agent list. I don't think that anybody thought about it. You start with Dalvin Cook. You start with Jadeveon Clowney. You've got
Julio
Jones is on there,
and don't forget Carson Wentz.
Well, everybody tries to forget Carson Wentz, but anyway, Carson Wentz. I mean, but you look down through there. I mean, there's some solid players. I'm wondering if GMs are just going to wait till like the middle of August to get a fire sale out some of these.
Oh yeah, they're going to wait for. So I think there's a lot of players waiting for others to get hurt, which would be the running backs, Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott. Right? They're waiting for someone to get hurt to the point where they're like, "Well, you have to take us." So blah blah blah.
Yeah, I thought Cook was going to sign with Jets. I think he still ends up there.
I personally, I've seen this a couple places, so I'm not going to pretend it was my own original thought. But him waiting for Miami he's basically going to use the Jets as leverage for Miami. because
That's possible.
as much as the Jets, they probably, I mean, the Jets have a good chance at the Super Bowl this year, regardless of how bad their offensive line is. They have everything else, and they're in a tough division. But like, if Miami lets him go to the Jets, you know what I'm saying? Like they had him in the bag. All they had to do was give him a little extra money. I assure you, it's not going to affect them down the road.
No, I agree.
That's the thing. It's a little extra money. It's not like they're giving them $50 million instead of $10 million. They're giving them like $13 million instead of $10 million. I know you can make that up.
Yeah. Yeah, look, they can make up whatever they want to make up. That's the whole issue.
That's true. That's true.
Is they want. All right, moving on to off the football, because we could spend all day on football, and there's a lot coming up, but we'll see how it all goes. I have a story sent to me again. I have great help from my two boys who help with Friday's Finest. A man refuses to get off his Fort Myers beach roof protesting FEMA regulations. He is on his rooftop and staying there because FEMA regulation says that the garage is a lateral attached structure to the house. And they say they want, and he said, I'm up here because the town of Fort Myers Beach, the state have decided that they want me to demolish my garage. And him and his wife have said that our garage is an independent structure to the house and was only connected to the house by some soft flash attachment. FEMA standards are so strict that it makes it difficult for the town to have flexibility to do what they like to do, which is to help them save their garage, Fort Myers Beach Vice Mayor Jim Adderholt. FEMA has said it had to be up to code with a floodplain or get knocked down. So to comply with the code, now get this, the Fort Myers Beach garage roof would need breakaway walls, foundation supports, and air conditioning living space above the structure. The Wink News, which is out of that area, said they spoke to Amy to get more information. And she said, we were here for the storm. We have waves here that were hitting the house that were 20 feet high. The garage is the only thing that saved my husband, our son, and I. Actually, we retreated to the neighbor's house because it was slightly elevated. So we were over there at the beginning of the storm, but he stayed. And the only reason he is still here is because of this garage. The garage is not just any garage. It helped save Rick during Hurricane Ian when the water overtook his home. I tied myself to the corner of the garage, and I made a swim for the next door to try and make it to my family. I made it to them and found out they were okay and alive. So they're trying to tear this thing down, and this guy says, FEMA, you're being unwilling to listen, and I'm not going to move. So he's on top of the roof.
I like that. It says, what the hell? I live here. Does he own the house?
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny because sometimes FEMA's rules are out of bounds, and then sometimes they're saving lives. So there is a part of it. But
yep. So
it's funny you said that because this actually reminds me of an actual story that happened to someone I know.
Okay.
That's weird you brought this up. So a couple years ago, it's not a couple years ago, it's probably a little longer than that now. Hurricane Irene or Storm Irene, I don't know. It was hit New Jersey. One of them that hit New Jersey. Sandy or Irene. And our area gets flooded because we have a river right next to our house.
Yep.
Like full flooded. And so I go to my friend's house to help them move some stuff because they basically had to move. It was a pretty awful situation for them.
Yep.
Right next door to them is our high school football coach and baseball coach and all around tough guy, if you want to call him that, right? He's a good dude, but so there's water up to probably like up to the door of a lot of the houses because a lot of them have steps. And he's just sitting on his porch, like halfway covered in water. And I was like, what are you doing here, man? You had to get evacuated. He goes, they're going to have to pry me from my lawn. I said, Coach, your house is underwater. Why don't we just move on and they're going to help you? And he goes, I stay here. This is my house. I was like, all right, if you want to be wet and look like an idiot, stay there. In this case, this guy's life was saved. It's a totally different situation, but it's just very funny that, like, I do get the idea of, like, I own this house. You can put tape around it all you want. I live here, and you're not going to stop me from living here, even if I'm soaking wet in water up to my waist.
Oh, wow. That is again. I mean, look, you get attached to your possessions, and you know
Yeah.
that when the government gets involved, the government is going to take over everything, and
They'll do whatever they want.
Yeah, they'll do whatever. All right, moving from FEMA to one of the favorite topics here of the Doug Collins Friday's Finest is animals. All right, I got a story here.
Here we go.
Rabbits have overrun a suburban Florida community. Volunteers hop to the rescue.
Kudos to whoever made that title.
Yeah, NPR story out of Fort Lauderdale. Wilton Manors, a suburb of Fort Lauderdale, 2 years after they've overrun parts. 2 years after a resident let loose lionhead rabbits from their backyard, according to local lore, the number of rabbits now outnumber the 81 homes on the Isle in the Geneda Isle neighborhood. The furry invasion has divided neighborhood residents. Some have allegedly threatened to shoot the animals or feed them to their snakes. Some want to let the bunnies roam free. Others, concerned about rabbit safety, are racing to raise money to save them. Okay, here's one. Only in America, folks, you got to love this. This is actually coming up. East Coast Rabbit Rescue, a nonprofit organization, is heading an effort to rescue and rehome the bunnies. The group managed to rescue 19 rabbits on Friday, 3 of which were pregnant. The volunteer-run outfit began rounding up the rabbits after partnering with the city police to complete the mission. The big challenge in trapping the rabbits has been the residents. Our hope was to rescue up to 45. That was our goal. But unfortunately, we encountered lots of issues because the residents were so hostile. Some residents didn't want us to take the bunnies. An officer from the Wilton Manors Police Department was present during the mission to provide protection, but Mitchell is asking the city to do more. The city needs to approach residents in a different way and say, hey, you guys need to allow the rescue to come in and get these bunnies out of here. The lionhead bunny is a fluffier species known for their thick mane or double mane circling the head, aren't built for suburban Florida, Mitchell said. Looks like they're doing pretty good from here. The animals, which are prone to heat stroke, have been digging holes in the ground to escape the oppressive heat to the irritation of some residents. They don't have clean food or water. The West Palm Beach group says it will need at least $40,000 to capture, spay, and neuter, vaccinate, and microchip over 100 rabbits and counting. So far, it's raised half the goal. Folks, you just can't let
a town overrun by rabbits.
Species out. I mean, what? I mean, you got pictures in this story. If you want to go find it, the Wilton Manor rabbits. I mean, they show pictures like 30 rabbits just on the lawns.
Yeah, it's pretty funny right now, but it won't be when they start eating everything and they take over everything and ruin everything. But yeah, I understand the residents. They're just like, we don't have anything going on. Let us have these freaking rabbits.
Yeah, they want to get rid of the rabbits. Let's go back to our conversation with Mike Waddell about predators. You turn loose, about some falcons, or you turn loose some eagles, or you turn loose some a coyote down there. They won't have to worry about those rabbits very long.
Oh no, they won't. That's so funny. I always think about that. Again, I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the show, but it always makes me laugh when they talk about there was a part of Michigan that was overrun by a certain population of deer or whatever it was, and they dropped in wolves via helicopter.
Yeah.
And I just think about how funny it must have been to have been a deer that day and look up, and all you see is 5-6 wolves just being helicoptered into your area.
Yeah.
Like
you don't want them to stay there. Wolves are not babies. They're not tame. They're not, again, all this ideas, and we talked about this before with Mike, look, the bears are wild. Wolves are wild. Coyotes are wild. I mean, you don't tame these things.
No. They like people who have wolf dogs in their homes. I really believe we need those people to be like checked out. I get it. They're gorgeous, and they are part domesticated dog.
Yeah.
But like the rules of the house are that it's his house. Why would you want to live somewhere where it's the wolf's house?
Yeah. Well, I've got a good friend who has a couple, and she loves them, but
I'm sure she does. But like, I bet you can't just go over there and hang out.
No, they have to be. They're put up. That's for sure.
Because they own that place.
Well, the part of this story goes to something that's going to have another story that I have for today. And this goes back to conservation. So my serious hat on here for a while. Folks, if you're going to get animals to keep that are non-native to your area, do not release them into the wild. Okay. Right now, the Everglades is overrun with pythons. I think last week we had the story of the 19-foot python that was found in the Everglades. Now you got this in winter in down in Fort Lauderdale, where you got rabbits who are not native to this area, who are not, quote, climatized, although they seem to be doing pretty good, to the area. They're overrunning, and they're going to start taking out, as James said a few minutes ago, we're going, you're going to have flowers, you're going to have a lot of things going to be destroyed. You've got the carp situation that is up in the Ohio rivers, and that are just, literally just overrunning and taking out all the native species in these areas. And another interesting story that came out just the last little bit was a guy named James Clinton in Oklahoma, and no jokes here, but he caught a fish in an Oklahoma pond that had what appeared to be human-like teeth. And there's a picture of this on the article, another NPR story. And it's true, because there's a fish called the pacu, a P-A-C-U, pacu fish, which is a relative of the piranha, that has with molar-like teeth. And they found it. But this was found in a pond in Oklahoma. It was released back into the water, got in touch with the game warden. They returned the pacu to the water. It's a catch and release pond, so unfortunately we did release it back. We don't know. Again, folks, you can't really do this, but we see it all the time. They go buy stuff. They get rabbits. They get chickens. They get kittens, dogs, snakes, exotics, and then they turn them loose. And, again, it affects the ecosystems in the environment, especially if they're not native. But how'd you like to go to Oklahoma and catch a fish that had human teeth?
That's why I don't fish, Doug. That option won't ever happen to me. Ain't going to happen to me. I'm not catching a fish with human teeth. That's some X-Files stuff. I'm not about it.
Yeah, and he goes on and talk about, the wildlife agencies were talking about, the fish are generally harmless to humans, but the practice of dumping unwanted pets in waterways can be incredibly harmful to the native wildlife. It warned that the pacu can grow to sizes up to 3.5 feet and 88 pounds.
Well, one of my best friends he's studied his PhD's in biology, and he does a lot of conservation work. And there was a part in New Jersey when he was here. There was like this killer plant that basically, once it gets in the water system, you almost have to like fire sale everything in the water, right?
Yeah.
And I asked him, how does that even happen? And it's as simple as someone taking their like fish tank and dumping it out in a pond.
Yeah.
Think about that. Then think about how many really stupid people there are out there that will release anything anywhere.
Yep.
Then you got Bunnicula problems in Florida. Anyone remember that book, Bunnicula, the Killer Rabbit? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It haunted my childhood. And then and now you have this where you got human teeth fish just roaming around Oklahoma. Doesn't Oklahoma have enough problems? They don't have to worry about it.
You would think, yes, but it is, like I said, it's just, again, when you look at some of this stuff and you think about it, and people just, frankly, they just don't think. And I get it, but folks, we highlight some of this, we laugh at it. The Oklahoma having human fish, we got we got rabbits overrunning South Florida, we got pythons in the Everglades, but it's not good for our environment. It's not good for the things that are there naturally occurring. And, it is sort of crazy to look at. But there, from our wildlife sections here on the Doug Collins podcast on Friday's Finest, we find a lot of these kind of crazy stories as we go forward. One thing, though, James, I do have to turn. We're going to go back to sports here for just a second.
Let's do it.
I'm going to freely admit I have not watched the Women's World Cup at all.
Fair enough.
And have no desire and part of me was actually, I hate to say this, but I didn't care if our team won or lost. I did. USA. Now I'm normally, I don't care if it's cornhole, international cornhole competition. I want the USA to win. But with what's going on with our team and the real just blatant and what it appears to be disregard for the very country that gave them the opportunity to play this game. I'll be honest with you. I don't have a lot of sympathy for them.
I don't usually watch. I mean, if when I was in New Jersey, I had a lot of friends that were big soccer fans, so I would watch it. But also, it just also doesn't help that they're not playing well. I really think that's. I'm not that they're not losing or anything. They're just not playing well at all. And I know that they got former players speaking out. And we can talk about the women's wage thing for a million hours. And I think there's a lot to it, but I also think it's like look at the numbers. That's the problem. It's the look at the numbers part that you can't really combat, which stinks because I get it. Like I know you guys seem like the more popular team, but
well, I mean, look, a high school kid's, a middle school or high school kid traveling soccer team beat the United States Women's World Cup team. Okay, let's just put this in perspective a little bit. And they're great. What? I'm glad they have Women's World Cup. I want them to succeed. I want them to get everything they possibly can. But let's also, when you're starting to look at the billions of people who watch men's soccer, men's World Cup, and other things, they're just not on the same level. But my biggest problem is like several of them who won't stand for the national anthem. They won't sing the national anthem. I saw a meme the other day where it was actually one of our African American players was standing for the national anthem while Megan Rapinoe was kneeling. It's like right next to her. It's like, okay, come on, I quit. This is stupid. But let's get to a better story here. Jamaica. Although America almost did not make it into the knockout round, Jamaica made it into the knockout round. And they talk about really having to fight for funding and fight for issues. In 2008, they were defunded. Jamaica Federation would no longer claim it was impossible, given its finances, to continue to fund the women's side, although they do the men's. In 2014, Bob Marley's daughter stepped in to help finance the team and produced a single to raise money for the squad and provided scholarships for the family through the Bob Marley Foundation. Despite the boost, they got disbanded again in 2016. And Marley called for change for the JFF, which is the Jamaican Football Federation, continued to fund the team through the Family Foundation. In 2019, Reggae Girls qualified for the first Women's World Cup, their first Women's World Cup. They failed to win a single game and left the group stage in the group stage tournament. During the build-up to the 2023 one, the team continued to fight for financial backing from the Jamaican Federation. Said it was struggling. JFF said it was struggling to fund the women's team and called on the country's government to help. But help came once again from elsewhere. One of the players' mothers set up a crowdfunding page called Reggae Girls Rise Up to help cover the cost, and it brought in close to $50,000 just days before the 2023 Women's World Cup began on the other side in Australia and New Zealand. They put out a statement and voicing their disappointment and their subpar. But the players got there. The great part about it is, with all this, they actually tied Brazil the other night and made it into the knockout round of the tournament. They made it out of the group stage and made it into the knockout round. Good for them. They persevered, and the folks that invested in their team is, again. It's the hard work pays off, and look, you would hope that the Jamaicans can find a way to actually support these women, in their own federation. But again, sometimes good news does actually pay off, James.
It does. It feels good to see that. It's anybody who's at the bottom of the it's the underdog story has always and will always be the easiest thing to root for on the planet.
Yeah, and if you've ever been to Jamaica, and I've had the privilege of going a few times to Jamaica, it's a beautiful country. Again, outside of tourism and other things, it's always struggled internally a great deal with economic issues and everything else. and governmental issues. But it is a beautiful country. If you ever have a chance to go there, I highly encourage you to go there. If you would, on a very much issue, if you ever want to go, call you can go online and see Lisa Jordan Collins. My wife does actually travel. She can set you up to go. It's a great place to go, and to see the people. The people are very friendly, and to see them, have a country in which they're proud of their national heritage. I mean, we saw this, jokingly a little bit with the Jamaican bobsled team. What was that, about 20 years ago now? So, but I'm glad to report stuff like this, and it's it has nothing to do with any of the political. It just has simply to do with the fact that they came together. A mother, again, wouldn't you know it, James? A mother says, "Hey, let's just go out here and try and crowdsource this money and get y'all a chance to go."
Yeah, it always takes a mom.
Yeah, moms are going to fix it. Okay.
Yeah, if something's wrong, mom's going to fix it.
Yeah, mom's going to fix it. They're going to bake cakes. They're going to sell sandwiches. They're going to do whatever they can to make sure that their kids have a chance to do things. And that's again, I'm proud of that is the way it has happened. And good luck to the Jamaican women's team in the World Cup. I have now a favorite in the cup. I hope that they go far.
I'm with you. Let's do it.
Good. It is good stuff. Also, though, speaking of good, I think we're going to end on a very good note as well. Again, I enjoy, and I'll preface this by saying I am not a Swiftie, but I do like Taylor Swift's music. I have liked a lot of her stuff over the years. I don't feel the inclined to go to the concerts or anything else, but I love to listen to her music. But you brought up a story as we were getting ready today for prep for Friday's Finest, though, that is worth ending the show on today, because I got to hand it to Taylor Swift. Not only is she an amazing musician who's done a lot of things, she's probably incorporated more people's understanding of what copyright and intellectual property is through her own music. But she's also shown herself to be generous. James, tell us that story.
Yeah, it says that all the truck drivers for her tour are going to get an extra $100K each.
Wow.
Each. Let me say that again. $100K each. They could just buy a house right now.
Yeah.
Do you understand that? They could buy a house. They could buy two houses.
And they're probably making okay, driving on this concert, but she's giving them $100K a piece. And there's I think in that article is like 50 of those drivers.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not 100% on the number of drivers, but I know altogether, Taylor Swift, let's see. Taylor Swift paid a total of $55 million in bonuses to her crew.
And government didn't force her to do that.
To the tour.
Nobody had to say, Taylor, you got to pay this. Government's going to do this. She just did.
Now let's take a moment, because I don't know how much. I think Taylor Swift, after some certain things, made $110 million on this tour.
Probably more.
Now I'm not saying that that was half of the money. But she probably made more. But just thinking about like $55 million is that's money we can't even think about. And she gave that away because her crew worked hard.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That's insane. Say whatever you want. You don't have to like her. You can say the tour ruined your town, whatever.
Well, and again, what's not also said is how many of those cities, they're showing it now. I read this article the other day, James, that talked about the Taylor Swift effect and the Beyonce effect. They're looking to see if it actually happens with some of these others, these major tours coming to towns for 2 and 3 days. Look, I mean, I've got family members who flew to different cities to go see Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And so they would go and they would have flights out there. They'd have hotel rooms. They would have meals while they were there. These are folks from Georgia and other places traveling to other cities to go see concerts.
Yeah, listen, it's like people like the Deadheads, man. They used to just go everywhere and get stoned and listen to music. Now they're just dancing with Taylor Swift.
We all wanted to get stoned. Everybody just gets stoned. That they all say it. But I mean, those are the kind of good stories we like to have. The Jamaican women's World Cup team. We got Taylor Swift giving out bonuses to those who worked hard, and I'm glad to see that. Again, just another Friday's Finest filled with animals with human teeth, rabbits running wild, football back in, Taylor Swift being generous, and the Jamaican Women World Cup made it to the knockout round. James, what else could we give the people on a Friday's Finest? I tell you.
Become one of Taylor Swift's truck drivers?
Yeah, exactly right. I understand that. Well, folks, if you have a chance next time Taylor's in town, you want to become a truck driver, I'd highly recommend applying for the job. But past that, James and I are out of here. Friday's Finest is over. We're glad to say you stuck around with us. Make sure that you get with us for next week. We've got a lot of good guests coming up. We'll be back talking teacher unions. We're going to be back talking FBI. We're going to also be talking this issue with not only Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and Devin Archer, but also digging in again to the indictments on Donald Trump as well. Got a big August plan. Love to see y'all be a part of it. We'll see you next time on the Doug Collins Podcast. James, say goodbye.
See you, everybody.
We're gone. See you next time. Go, hey everybody, it's Doug Collins. Welcome back. I got another special time I get to set aside on economics and all things metals and the economy, and I get to do it with my friend Charles Hornigan. He is just a legacy precious metals. You know him, you've seen him advertise on my podcast, you've seen him all over. A lot of our friends talk about this because we want to give you the options out there that you need to make good financial decisions. Charles, I want to talk today. Let's learn a little bit more about gold and silver, just in the economies of scale, I guess. When we look at this, everybody goes to gold and silver, and we know that. What are some of the things, if you're investing, if I'm investing in this, because you always hear about stocks and what affects stocks, oil, you see business numbers, you see the GDP. So what actually have you seen over time that affects gold and silver or other metals, but specifically gold and silver? I think it'd be a good question for folks.
There's two facets when you're looking at metals, right? There's the industrial value. Gold not used as heavily as, say, silver is in industrial metals, but it's a facet. There's an actual physical demand for the product to be built into equipment. Silver, especially, everything that we do nowadays has an electronic component to it somehow, some way, right? If you're conducting electricity, you're silver. That's just what works in, electronics. Gold for your higher end electronics, that you have that there. So there's the industrial metal, and that's important. But where most people look at your precious metals is for the economic factors, right? It's for the currency value. And it's an important thing there. And one of the best things to know about, gold and silver is there are metals that work counter to the dollar. Okay. I used to say the anti-dollar investment, and then I just don't love that term because I'm not against the dollar per se, but this is the counterbalance to the dollar. So as the dollar gets weaker, and when I say weaker, I don't mean its comparison to the rest of the world. The dollar is still, for now, the currency of choice. It is being challenged. The BRIC nations are challenging it very hard. And we just had, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen say, yeah, we're losing strength that we had. But that's not the weakness that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the weakness of the purchasing power of the dollar.
Right.
And we see that in, some call it inflation. I don't like the word inflation because people think inflation is only bad when it's in the 5% and higher percent. But inflation is bad at 2%.
Right.
If you think about it over the course of your lifetime, if you lose 2% of your purchasing power every year, by the time you're ready to retire, there's not much left. And this is why every grandparent's favorite conversation is what I could buy it for in my day.
I remember going to the store. I went to the movies, and for a quarter, I saw a movie and double feature, and I got popcorn and a Coke and everything else. I get it. It's also walking uphill both ways. We get it.
Right. And now that quarter doesn't even pay the tax on those items.
Exactly. You can't even get it out there. Well, you bring up an interesting point. And I think sometimes we think of, again, markets. And I know there's this, quote, world market that we think of when you think of what I'll say is traditional stock market investments. But really, truly, the first, what I'll say, if you look at it from a perspective, worldwide market, if you would, has always been sort of the metals, gold and silver, even the stuff that you don't deal with, diamonds, things like that. That's always been that tangible asset. Does that give you a better perspective of a world view that you're going to have these things in there and they're not named dollar, pound, all these other things?
And it should, and it does give your perspective. You know, gold is the only asset that central banks buy around the world. They don't buy real estate. They don't buy office buildings. They don't buy acreage. They have the currency of the country they deal with in gold. Central banks have been owners of gold since there have been central banks because it's the original store of value. It always has been. It always will be. It's something that people recognize around the world. It's easy to convert to currency. It's easy to convert and exchange with other currencies. That used to be the basis of international trade was gold. So
Right.
the history is there for it. And the thing too is that it stands the test of time. It has, and it always will. It's maintained value. If you look at where gold was just 25 years ago, $600 an ounce. We're at $1,900 an ounce now.
Yep.
And that kind of right lock in step with you look at the cost of price increases of just our everyday items. It's right there with it. It's doing its job. It's
Yep.
protecting your purchasing power. Silver, the same thing. Silver is actually up more than that. Back when gold was in the 600s, silver was in the $5 range. Here we are, $24,
Oh, yeah.
So it does what it's meant to do. I think where people get challenged by it now is we have 24-hour access to pricing and markets and things like that. People have become addicted to the overnight success.
Right.
But every overnight success has shown overnight failure as well. What they say, what goes straight up comes straight down.
Gravity
So-
still matters.
Absolutely. So if you're going to do some of that, great. Make it a small percentage, but get some security in something that has value over the long term.
Well, and I think that sums up a great, because it's going to be my next question. Make the pitch, to folks who are listening here, and they listen to the Doug Collins podcast because they trust us for information, news, entertainment. We have a lot of things we do, but we bring on people that they can then make their own decisions. That's one of the things I prided myself about the podcast. Listen to what I say, then go check it out for yourself. And as a sponsor of this podcast, you, I believe, do the same thing. What is for those who are being told, that here, spend $20, it's going to become a meme stock and all of a sudden it'll be worth 80. Give your pitch for that, what you deal in metals as part of a portfolio.
My stock for that, and this is what I would say, get some of that $20 stock that you're looking at, that meme, that new, trend. That's fine, but make it a small percentage. Look at your investment portfolio as a portfolio, different asset classes. Should you have some stocks? Yes. Find the quality ones. Should you have metals? Yes. It gives you that long-term stability. When you do those two things, then you can step out and say, you know what? I'm going to try the new meme stock. I'm going to put a little money on it. And if it does, like most of them do, and goes kaput and it's gone, it doesn't hurt you, right?
Right.
But if it takes off, fantastic. You have something to crow about. But the real important thing is you have the other aspects of your investment portfolio working for you. That balanced, diversified investment strategy is going to work well for you. It's tried and true.
Yeah. Well, and also, and this is just me. And I'm not an economist, and I don't play a stockbroker. I don't play a breast metal. But I've never seen a place where anybody said, "Oh, gold's going to be worth nothing."
Yeah.
As long as it's on people's necks and ring and hands, gold's going to be worth something. I mean, people, there's inherent value there. So I think as we look at this, so folks, when you look at gold and silver, it's an alternative. It's something for you to look at. It is something for you to go online. Legacy Precious Metals has an online platform. We've talked about that before here on our discussion with Charles. You can make it as easy. You can talk to them if you want to, or you don't have to talk to them, but they're there to help you navigate the possibilities of adding gold and silver to your investment portfolio. And that's the big question right now, is what can we do to make sure that our investments, last a long time? You need to get all the information you can. One of the ways to doing that is our folks at Legacy Precious Metals, who offer you that service. Go to them and find out. Charles, thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you.